Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I love? Patreon.com/inkdependence, where patrons get access to a patron-only Discord, ad-free videos, and the joy of knowing they help support this channel. Hello folks, welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and today I have an ink for you from Smruti Pens and Colorverse ink. This is an exclusive ink for Smruti Pens. This is Indigo Blue. So go over to Smruti Pens, use that link down below. There's an affiliate link. It'll get you 10% off of your order. It'll throw a little bit of cash my way in the form of affiliate credit or something like that. It's a brand new thing. I haven't even had a chance to use it or really tell anybody about it. So brand new. But check this out over on their site. Also check out all the other cool stuff that Smruti Pens has, pens and paper and ink and all manner of things over there. Go and support a woman-owned small business. It's really cool. They're out in Atlanta now, so it'll be nice to see them when we go to Atlanta and all that jazz. Find them also at a pen show near you. They're all over the place, these folks. They travel and they're really cool. So thank you, Akila and Nirmal, for hooking me up with this cool ink to show everybody. All right, here's what the bottle looks like. This is the typical 30 ml bottle that Colorverse uses. I think it's probably been my favorite of the Colorverse bottles. It's not as fancy as the big 65 ml ones with the tail and all that, but I think it's also just kind of space efficient. It's a perfectly good amount of ink at 30 mils, and probably the bottle's a little bit cheaper, which brings the cost down, because those big bottles, they're heavy, they're expensive, all that jazz, and this is just kind of a perfect amount of ink, I think. It's really nice. All right, let's take a look at it on some paper. Bam, there's the paper. This is my usual Nebula casual note paper. It's 90 grams per square meter, and it's a very good paper for using with fountain pens. It stands up to all kinds of inks and water and that sort of thing. That's why I use it for my reviews, and it looks really good on here. I really like this very dark blue. It's not like a navy blue. It's just a very dark blue. You will get some shading on the right kinds of papers, and you will get some sheen depending on how much ink you're putting down, of course. But it is a really pretty blue, not your average dark blue, I don't think. It's got some character. I think it looks real good. Here I say the flow is wet, and also this is a pretty wet pen and nib, so I think I've got a wet pen, wet nib combination here that makes it do some extra bleeding and just a tiny bit of feathering. I think if it was a drier pen configuration, I wouldn't really get that much of this bleeding. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. And as I said, qualities here, sheen and some shading. You do get a very nice little bit of sheen there of this ink in the right circumstances. That gives it some good depth. The pen I've had this in is also from Smruti Pens, although this is not an exclusive. This is the Opus 88 Omar, which is a big old pen, and I believe this color combination is called Pumpkin, which is very fun. I'll be doing a review for this pen in the very near future as well, but I've really been enjoying this ink in here. It flows perfectly. I like the way it feels on the paper. This is a nice big pen. It's just kind of a great combo so far, although, like I said, wet pen, wet ink, you might have to be a little careful and not use it on the absolute lowest tier of papers. So there you go. Let's go ahead and do our water drop test, look at our chromatography, and then talk about some different papers and some different colors here. These 30 ml bottles are $15. You can find them over at Smruti Pens. Go ahead and spray some water all over this thing. I don't know what this is going to have for water resistance, but it looks here like we're going to end up with a gray layer at the bottom that's going to stick around, according to our chromatography. Whoa, don't get too crazy. I don't want to wash away all my stuff just in case. Woo. All right, let's mop this up here. Always better to blot than to rub, just because you don't want to rub it around or scrub through your paper if your paper is weak sauce. This paper is very strong. I have not had really anything bleed through this. Been pretty great paper. Yeah, this has got a little bit of water resistance. Now, a lot of blue came up. You can see there's a lot of blue there, and this pen admittedly does put down a lot of ink, so I'm not terribly surprised. I am surprised by how much of the blue remains, though. You're definitely going to see this gray undertone here, that you can see right here in those lines, but you would absolutely be able to recover what you wrote. It wouldn't be blue anymore. Maybe this has some sort of art use. If you want to do water washes and that kind of thing, it could be interesting, because there's a lot of dye component there that will come away, but your writing will be safe. So that's neat. All right, let's look at this on a bunch of different papers right quick. Starting off here with our Staples 20 pound, 30% recycled copy paper. This is kind of the worst quality paper you're gonna find in your office copy paper and copier or whatever. It's, not really made for fountain pen ink, but you can see here only a few little feathers. I don't know, in the ER here, not really up here, which is interesting. So a few little feathers here, but not too much. And then on the back, you definitely have some bleed through, but again, broad wet nib and a wet ink. And also this paper is not great. So this is pretty average, I would say, for the other inks on here as well. It's just not really meant for that. So can you use it on this bad paper? Yes. Will it work great? Not really. It's you want to keep it on something a little better than this, I think. Next up, this is a paper called Irreful, which I am not super familiar with. A friend of mine sent me some of this paper in loose leaf, and I've really liked it. It's not quite white. Otherwise, I would probably use it for ink reviews. But it's got a little bit of a I don't know, an amber kind of look to it. It's kind of cream, but it works really well with fountain pens. You can see there's absolutely no bleed through and barely any show through. Actually, I mean, you could absolutely use the other side of this paper, which is dotted on one side and then blank on the other, interestingly. But on here, you'll see you have a lot of sheen throughout, but you also get really nice shading. So it's a really good combo of shading and sheen in these letters here. Of course, I am still transcribing out of the 99% Invisible City by Roman Mars and Kurt Kolstad. Go ahead and check that out. Take a screen cap if you'd like to read this stuff here about meaningless symbols that we've turned into warning symbols and that sort of thing. But I think it's kind of brilliant on this paper. It looks great, felt good. Really dig it. Next up, this is my Inky Fingers Currently Inked book. This is wheat straw paper, which is pretty much like sugarcane paper. So if you want to hunt some of that down, and it worked beautifully on here as well. You definitely get some shading, but not as much. And you do get a good amount of sheen, I would say, but not enough to blot out the underlying color, which I like. I like to be able to see the underlying color and also the sheen, and not just sheen in most cases. And it looks great on here. And lastly, for papers, I got my Galen Leather Co. Everyday book. This is Old School Tomoe River. And there is that sample. I closed the book and smudged it. That's on me. That's not like it's smudged after the fact. In fact, I'm not getting any smearing or anything. Sometimes with a very sheeny ink, you can get some smearing, but I'm not getting any on here. That's just, I closed the book too quickly. Or maybe Mr. Nose stepped on it. That might be a Mr. Nose paw if I remember correctly. So yeah, this is a good ink. It looks really good on there. I don't know why I put 2 S's in Opus. Maybe because I was riding around a cat during a live stream. That absolutely happens. So that's how we live our life here. All right. Okay, so for comparable colors, here it is on a Colodex card. You can find these at Smruti Pens right now. They're actually doing a giveaway. They've just gotten coloring and Colodex stuff in their store, so you can find that there or at Well Appointed Desk. You'll find links below. Indigo blue looks gorgeous on this paper. From the finer tipped dip pens, I think this looks very good. It's a good looking ink in both fine and broad nibs. This one is a very broad dip pen. It's quite wet. And then there it is from the Omar, which is lots of sheen because it's just putting down a ton of ink. But yeah, it looks really nice. I'd say, give that a try. And here are some comparable colors, or at least something that's kind of close. This is Sailor Ink Studio number 840, which is a really pretty ink. It is definitely a few shades lighter than Indigo Blue for sure. Then this one is Yoseka's Ceramics series from Ink Institute. And I think this is kind of close, but the sheens are very different colors. Like this is a much more vibrant sheen than this one, which tends to be kind of like a moodier, darker sheen, which is interesting. The base colors are fairly close, although I think this one's maybe a little bit, I think this hue is a little bit lighter. Then this one, which I don't think you can get anymore. This is Lyrebird Blue Black from Krishna. I don't think they make it anymore. This one's a little bit more shady, but it has the same kind of basic color and basic sheen we've got going on with Indigo Blue. This is a very cool series, but like I said, I don't think they make that anymore. So, maybe get Indigo Blue instead if you can't get a hold of Lyrebird. And then let's zoom out a little bit here. And then we've got 2 here on the smaller colorings, coloring cards. This is Cult Pen's Deep Dark Blue, which I thought was going to be closer to Indigo Blue than it is, although it is pretty darn close. It has way more sheen. These deep dark ones from Diamine have a ton of sheen on them. And actually, does that smear? Yeah, I'm actually getting a little bit of smearing, like even now from that one. It's been on there forever, but yeah, a little bit of smearing from that one. Maybe a little bit too much sheen. Maybe this is a better balance. And then Diamond Music Tchaikovsky, which I also thought was going to be a little bit closer. This one's definitely a little bit more violet. These music series inks are very cool, but they're not really like other blues. It's going to have a lot of different colors. This one, definitely more of just a dark blue. So yeah, I don't have anything that's exactly the same, although these three are probably the closest. The Yanji blue and Lyrebird blue black, which unfortunately also gone. So also these Ink Institute ones are on the other end of the like wet dry spectrum. This seems like a pretty wet ink, and these Ink Institute ones can tend to be a little bit on the drier side. So if you want to get a drier one, maybe go there. If you want a wetter one, this indigo blue is really nice. So there you go. All right, thanks very much for hanging out with me and learning about indigo blue. I like this ink quite a lot. I think it's a great color, and they still have a bunch of it at Smruti Pens, I think. So, go check it out there. Tell them I sent you, and, look at their other stuff, too. Use that link down there on the bottom to get yourself 10% off. Thanks, Smruti Pens, for giving a discount to my viewers, and also for, giving me this ink to test out, because it's cool, and I really like it. So until next time, peace out.